Miss America, Kay Lonnie Ray Lefko, Miss Michigan.
For decades, millions of young women have set their sights on the pageant scene in hopes of someday walking down the runway wearing the crown.
There she is, Miss America.
When I was a very young girl, I watched Miss America and that kind of thing and enjoyed watching it and thought, oh, it was wonderful. But I never expected to be in anything like that.
Today, 29-year-old Stephanie Cioffi is a veteran pageant contestant and currently holds the title of Mrs. Pennsylvania.
I'm very competitive in nature, basically, anyway. The thing that challenges me in a pageant, and one of the things that I enjoy is challenge, is the fact that I'm being judged on me. I'm not being judged on my acting ability or how many targets I shoot or whatever. I'm being judged on me, and that helps me to strive to be the best that I can be, and I think that's an asset to the pageant.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Stephanie Caldwell, and my local pageant was held in Bedford.
Stephanie's pageant days began 3 years ago when she entered and won in the Miss Western Pennsylvania pageant. Her title as Miss Western then led her to the Miss America finals in Altoona, Pennsylvania. There, Stephanie placed among the top 10 finalists.
Since I didn't win Miss Pennsylvania, I still kind of had the pageant bug in me. And when I saw the opportunity to get involved in the Mrs. Pennsylvania, a friend told me about the pageant, and I entered and won.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mrs. Pennsylvania 1988 is Stephanie Cioffi. Stephanie Cioffi, Mrs. Pennsylvania 1988.
Winning the Mrs. Pennsylvania pageant meant a whirlwind of publicity and notoriety, because along with the crown and the title of Mrs. Pennsylvania came the opportunity to compete in the Mrs. America pageant to be held in Kauai, Hawaii on live national television.
This week, Stephanie Cioffi stepped out of the classroom and into the spotlight of the Mrs. America pageant in Hawaii.
Although I enjoyed the notoriety, I didn't enjoy it too. So what do? I go out and get a license plate for my car that says Mrs. 88. My husband did that for me, actually. But I guess, I don't know, it's interesting how people treat you when you're in this kind of position. Kind of everybody wants to get to know you, kind of thing. And that's fine. And I welcome people asking me questions or getting to know me, because I am a people person.
What types of things did you have to go through to be in the Mrs. America pageant, like rehearsals and so forth?
Well, they split us up into 3 different groups, and the 3 different groups had different times when they had to rehearse. My group happened to be one of the ones that was worked the most for some reason. I don't know if they thought we needed it or what, but a typical day would be getting up at 7 o'clock, breakfast by 8, rehearsal from, say, 8:30 or 9 till about 12, break for lunch, go back to rehearsal, get a camera shot on the boats. The girls are golfing, whatever, you know. The girls are on the beach playing volleyball or whatever. And then we would have dinner or a ceremony of some kind, cocktail party maybe even, sometimes they had for us. And then we had to be in bed by 11, and then same thing the next day.
Stephanie Cioffi, Mrs. Pennsylvania.
For 3 weeks, Stephanie and the rest of the Mrs. America contestants spent majority of their time rehearsing for the big show on November 1st. There wasn't a whole lot of time for sightseeing and tanning, unless, of course, it was in front of the camera.
The one thing that we did get to go to was Charo, you know, the Coochie Coochie girl. She has a restaurant on the island, and she invited us all up to her restaurant for dinner, and it was really, really nice. She put on a show for us and stuff.
What do you think has been the most memorable experience for you being in the pageants?
At the Mrs. America pageant, this was the first time that pageant had been televised on a major network. It was televised on ABC for the first time in the history of the pageant, and I wrote letters trying to get trying to get the pageant closed caption for my kids so that they could read the captioning when the pageant was going on. And because it was pre-taped, they were able to do that. And I was glad that my kids could fully understand what was going on while I was in Hawaii. So that was exciting for me that I was able to do that.
The kids that Stephanie spoke of aren't her own. They are students at Shenango High School in Newcastle, Pennsylvania. Here, Stephanie is not known as a contestant, but rather as a teacher of hearing-impaired children. And there was probably nobody more excited to share in Stephanie's pageant success than her kids.
They were a couple of things: shocked, excited, and nervous because they thought that I was going to win. They didn't want me to leave. So that made me feel good. But I think they were mostly excited because they could say, oh, I know her.
Stephanie's interest in helping pave the way for deaf awareness is due to her own hearing loss in her left ear. For Stephanie, helping these children learn and grow is her greatest joy. She has been both a teacher and a friend to many very special children over the past 9 years. The pageants will come and go, but the need for great teachers will always endure. To Stephanie, teaching isn't a job, it's an eternal yet rewarding challenge.
I get them in 7th grade and see them through their graduating year, and the change that occurs from that first adolescent hair-pulling, one of those kind of kids to a mature young adult ready to tackle the world is really rewarding for me.